Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here. Obviously, today's not going to be a very fun video as we go over the entire Celsius situation and what's going on in the crypto space. This is going to be a very weird video. It's unfortunate that I have to make this video. So just please bear with me. I want to first start by saying, well, obviously, most of you probably already know, Celsius has halted withdrawals. So they sent out an email last night. What time was it at? It was at approximately 10:10, okay? Basically saying, due to extreme market conditions, today we're announcing that Celsius is pausing all withdrawals, swaps, and transfers between accounts. They basically said, it's necessary action for the benefit of our entire community in order to stabilize liquidity and operations while we take steps to preserve and protect assets. They said that people will continue to earn rewards while this is happening. And at this point, no one gives a shit about their rewards. They just want to get their money out of Celsius. So there's a lot to this situation, obviously. So I just want to first start by saying that I myself have a decent amount of funds in Celsius, okay? So I have 4.36 Bitcoin in my account. I also set up an account for a family member, and that account has, I think, like 1.2 or 1.3 Bitcoin in there, something similar to that. So I'm sure you're frustrated with the situation. You may even be frustrated with me, but I want to make it clear that I myself have funds on Celsius still that are locked up that I can't get out. I was someone that talked about Celsius a lot, obviously, on my YouTube channel, and many of you used my referral link to sign up. And at the end of the day, all of the benefits, I guess you could say, from the referral link are still sitting in Celsius that I cannot access. So it's like, oh gosh, like what angle do I take first? So some of you will blame me for this situation. You will be mad that I talked about Celsius, that I recommended Celsius, that I had a referral link for Celsius. I would say I could go back and probably compile at least 20 instances, maybe even 30, maybe even more, where I mentioned to you guys, not your keys, not your coins. And when you use a centralized platform like Celsius, like all of these other lending platforms, you are giving them access to your coins. And you can go to withdraw at any point and they could easily not honor that withdrawal. That goes for every single exchange. That goes for every single lending platform. That is how this space works. And obviously, I mentioned before, I knew there was always a risk when it came to these lending platforms. And I would mention, not your keys, not your coins. You're giving someone else access to your funds. And although I said that many times, people I know and I understand, people are going to get frustrated that I recommended this platform, okay? And people will, not listen to anything that I say in the future. That's fine. I cannot control the way you feel about this situation. I cannot control the way you feel about me. I understand that people will take out their frustrations on me, and they will blame me more than they blame Celsius or the CEO of Celsius, Alex, okay? That's what happens when you put yourself out there on the internet and you share your experiences. That's simply what my channel is, sharing experiences. And I've never poised myself as like an expert in the space. I've always told you guys, I take a very high risk approach, and my risk tolerance level is not afraid to be homeless. So that's another component of this as well. And no matter how many times I mention not your keys, not your coins, and giving other people access to your coins, I knew that at the end of the day, if something like this happened, people would still blame me and be frustrated with me. Like I said, I can't control your emotions. I can't control what you say to me. It is what it is. I like to focus on the things that I can control. So, like I said, I have a total of nearly 6 Bitcoin sitting on Celsius here. Do I believe that we will get our funds back? I'm not sure. I don't work at Celsius. I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. I would say that we may get partial payouts, but I'm not exactly sure. So, there is this thread that I think you should go take the time to look at in depth, but I'm going to go over it, kind of just the main points here. This was posted on June 8th, and I just read this morning. So basically, this post started out by saying Celsius Network is facing a liquidity crisis. What exactly is a liquidity crisis? A liquidity crisis is when an entity has a lack of withdrawable assets or easy to convert assets. Okay. How does the crisis occur? A liquidity crisis can come from large losses. So obviously, the crypto market going down dramatically is a component. Mismatch in liquid liabilities and illiquid assets. Increased demand, decreased supply of liquidity. Okay, so there is this component of Celsius losing 70 million in a hack. It was a Stakehound hack. Honestly, I've never even heard of Stakehound, okay? So not only is Celsius not making enough to cover interest, it has lost deposits in DeFi hacks and death spirals. So what I've learned through this thread is that Celsius had different sources of where they were parking money. Okay, so Celsius did lose some in the Luna UST crash, but they also lost a ton of Ethereum. So there was another hack that Celsius lost money in, $50 million. There's this hack as well, okay. Celsius also lost some funds held in Luna and Anchor Protocol, although according to official sources, those amounts were not extremely threatening. So we know that Celsius took a lot out of Luna like days before the crash, which could have, in a sense, like they were one of the biggest players, biggest accounts that withdrew, so that could have potentially contributed to the spiral, the Luna spiral. Okay, so through an on-chain analysis, it's been found that Celsius Network is the direct culprit for starting the Luna UST DPEG crash that caused multiple suicides among crypto bros. So blockchain analysis firm confirms that Celsius was one of the 7 whale wallets that contributed to the UST DPEG, which contradicted what CEO Alex said. So at least 120 million of depositors' funds were lost, and then it was also suggested that Celsius has not been forthcoming on their total losses to portfolio. Celsius was also putting out weekly updates basically of deposits, withdrawals, and the nets. And I remember seeing a couple of the last weeks which were in the negative. Liquidity crisis can come from a mismatch in liquid liabilities and illiquid assets. So only 20% of Celsius Ethereum is not locked up. So that's a big percentage of the Ethereum that Celsius held that was locked up. Okay, and so we know that the upgrade and updates to Ethereum is like I have like 15 or 16 Ethereum locked up, and I have it locked up on Kraken. So 73% of all the Ethereum held by Celsius was locked up. Why is that a big deal? That's a big deal because there is not a specific date on when those funds will be unlocked, okay? It could be a year, and it could also be 10 years, and it could also be never. So that is way too big of a portion of all their Ethereum locked up. So when you see, let's see here. Okay, liquidity crisis can come from increased demand, decreased supply of liquidity. Let's see here. It is calculated that 50,000 Ethereum per week is being withdrawn. Investigators calculate that redemptions can only continue normally for 5 more weeks at this rate before Celsius defaults or bankrupts. So that was something that came out on June 5th. So there's also this component to the entire situation of, we saw a ton of FUD come out around Celsius. And whether that was true, or whether that was false, or whether that was partially true, something that did cross my mind that I should have taken more seriously was the fact that it was going to cause a lot of panic in the space. So, like, I know that was, I'm sure, another component to this, a bunch of people trying to withdraw. And another component is I was considering withdrawing majority of my funds from Celsius. Like, the idea of that was something that I was debating on. And there was also this component of, it would be easiest to get out of my loans on Celsius so that I could have more collateral if I want to back up my loan on Nexo. So what I also did was I recently paid off a $30,000 loan on Celsius. It was a loan at 1%. And I was able to unlock just under 3 Bitcoin. So on top of this, 2 days ago, I paid off my loan. So I gave Celsius an additional 30,000 USDC to do that. And so that's another component to the situation there. So this person made predictions that the CEO will first try to block withdrawals of assets. This part has already come true with the suspicious Huddle Mode that only allows users to withdraw after they jump through more hoops. This buys Celsius network more valuable time. So I did notice that the Huddle Mode was turned on my account, and I did not recall, and I mentioned this in my videos, and it should have been more of a red flag to me. You know, like for me, I'm reflecting back on this and trying to pull out valuable lessons, because I have 2 options. I could cry in the corner like a little bitch, which will solve nothing, or I could take this situation as lessons to be learned, okay? Which is what I'm doing, okay? So I was confused because I also had this SIM swap, and I reached out to them to basically freeze my account, and I wasn't sure if the Huddle Mode had a connection to that. So to the fools and paid shills that parrot Celsius's claims that they are trying to root out people abusing the referral promo campaign, please think critically. The way to stop that problem is to nerf cancel the referral campaign, not blanket hold many users' funds hostage. So I wasn't having issues with the referral program, although I noticed in the last few months that referrals started to slow down dramatically. But that was across the entire lending platform space. So it just wasn't like a Celsius thing. It was across the entire lending space. So Celsius didn't pay me to make videos about Celsius. I think there was one time that I did like an in-depth review and that was just more recently that they paid me in Cell tokens. So it's not like I was like on a consistent retainer, like making money for talking about Celsius. So that's a component there. So Rat's second So rats will flee a sinking ship. Insiders who can clearly see what's going on will start to leave. In this case, Celsius already lost its auditor. Losing the auditor is a massive red flag. So that was May 30th. I mean, looking back, what should I have done? As soon as I heard about people's, like the FUD, because there was like, I was seeing contradicting information, right? A lot of FUD about Celsius, and then a lot of people like backing it up. So, but as soon as, so there's like this, something that I think will serve you well in the cryptocurrency space, but clearly it didn't serve me well, but hopefully the next situation it will. Where there's smoke, there is fire. So how should you approach all other lending platforms? Like I just mentioned, like I have been mentioning, not your keys, not your coins. So whether it's exchanges or anything else, you have to ask yourself that question. Do you want to give others control and access over your funds? So obviously when it comes to the trust around Celsius, that's going to be really tough. And then we have to see what's going to unfold over the next weeks and the next months to see exactly what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. No point in making predictions because I'm just going to wait and see what happens. So obviously, after all of this, I mean, even me myself, no, I can't recommend Celsius anymore. I don't want to have my funds on Celsius anymore. So with all of this, this is just going to intensify and increase the liquidity crisis. This is going to turn into a chain reaction situation. So that's basically the situation there. Bear market is something that kind of like fuels these things. I would have never anticipated this to happen during a bull run. And so bear market losses, liquidity issues, auditor rage quit, users lose trust, the bank run, the death spiral. So that's basically the situation there. If you want to read more details on this, you can go ahead and follow this Twitter account to learn more. So what's next? Learn as many lessons as I can from this situation. For those of you that have a large portion of your funds on Celsius, I am sorry that you are in that situation. There's a reason why I talked about spreading my risk amongst multiple platforms, okay? I use many different platforms to earn interest on my cryptocurrency. And although, I try to put myself in the situation. So for me, it's almost like I have to automatically expect to get nothing back. I'm a person that really focuses on managing my own expectations. That has served me extremely well in my life. So expecting to get nothing back, if I get something back, that's great, but prepare to get nothing back. Because that's just the reality of the situation. That's going to be the worst case scenario, and you have to prepare yourself for worst case scenarios. So I'm sorry for those of you that have fun still on Celsius, whether it's a little bit or a lot. I am hopeful that many of you listened to the other things that I talked about on my channel when it came to spreading your risk amongst multiple platforms and understanding not your keys, not your coins. So this event, I believe, will turn many people into Bitcoin maximalists, 1, and 2, get people more interested in wanting to learn and understand and implement self-custody. What is self-custody? Self-custody is having full control over your coins. So for example, you can use a Ledger Nano S, you can use a Trezor. There are different things that you can use for self-custody. And it's a little bit, well, it's necessary. It's what makes crypto different. It's why we're getting away from the banks. So that's all that I have for this video. Yeah, just obviously a lot. And how do I, personally, how do I feel about this? I always understood that there was a risk here. So I've been in this situation before, and I hope this is the last time that this happens. And like I mentioned, it's like I should have taken self-custody a lot more seriously, but I understood the risks. And looking back on this entire situation, what can I say? That the yields was obviously not worth the risk. And that was something that crossed my mind. But then as humans, we become greedy, and obviously making true passive income is awesome. So that is all that I have for you guys today. Hang in there. And as always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.